all right, world. It's your boy Messiah Boss. I'm back at it again, and you are tuned in to You Hook Now the podcast. Now, it's been a while. It's been a while. As you guys know, the world is pretty much has done a complete 180 on us. It's not a 360 because it hasn't got back around to the good just yet. We're in the 180 stage right now due to this pandemic. COVID has been going on. Things have been shifting. The American government has been shifting. Uh, Jobs, employment has been shifting. Schooling was shifted tremendously. And it's been a pretty trying time for the American people. It's been a pretty trying time for the people of this planet, period. Country to country, state to state, city to city, man, it's been a complete 180. Um, I would like to say that we're working as a world to get back on better grounds, get back to better times. You know, some days I'm very, very optimistic. Some days I'm not so optimistic. But with my belief and my belief in the Most High, my belief in Jesus, uh, I just gotta stay firm. I gotta stay positive. And I haven't been with you for a while due to time restrictions. Kids were let out of school. We've been doing it at home schooling before the summer started, so it kind of took away a lot of the free time that I had to record a podcast. So I'm back jumping into it right now, and it's the wee hours of the night, and I just got to get back to it. This is something I love to do. I love to talk to people. I love to talk to people about world events. I love to talk about timeless topics. I really don't do too much celebrity topics, but this is one right here that I want to talk about. Like I said, I'm a timeless topic guy. I like to talk about topics that are going to last throughout the ages, that have no time limit, no time cap, that people will be able to look back at my podcast, look back at You Hook Now the podcast and say, man, this guy was on something 40, 50 years from now. I'm a timeless guy. I don't really like talking time dated topics, but in the world of professional sports, this right here, this topic, I think will be around for a long time, no matter who wins, no matter who loses. I think it's something that's good for the sport. And let's get into it. It's the world of professional boxing. 2020, July. Summertime of July 2020, and the world of professional boxing has produced a mega fight. 8-round exhibition. 8-round exhibition. Iron Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. This, on paper, in their primes, could have been possibly the best fight in the world of boxing ever known to man. Both of these guys in their primes in this fight could easily have been the best fight known to man. But they're having it in 2020. Mike Tyson comes out of retirement. Roy Jones Jr. coming out of retirement. Exhibition, 8 rounds. Who do you guys got? Who do you guys got? Because when you think about it, when you think about these guys in their stage, in their age, them being retired from the world of professional boxing for some time, you think this is pretty much just a friendly competition, putting on something for the fans. We're going to get in there. We're going to tap each other up. We're going to get in there. We're going to just get a feel for the ring again. We're going to really get a feel of how we're going to move our feet again. This is our pretty much possibly our last somewhat of a decent run, going out like gladiators, going out on our shield and being okay with finally saying, I'm done. You got to understand, Mike Tyson is 54 years old. Roy Jones is 51. But what you have to understand about these two guys, they are not the average 51 and 54-year-old men. You talking about Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, two pound for pound, whatever class they were fighting in, the best fighters of their time. Like we can just do the tell of the tape, and these guys are actually not that far away from each other. The only true distinction that I can see in between the two throughout their career is power. It's power. Mike Mike has the power, hands down. But what you have to understand, Mike Tyson did have great speed. For his short, tanked out body, Mike Tyson had great speed. That's what people don't understand. A lot of people slept on Mike Tyson's speed. Mike Tyson had a hellified power game, but Mike Tyson was quick. He was shifty. He could move. And we all know Roy Jones' speed. Roy Jones was the guy before Floyd Mayweather. You know, like if between Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, and Sab Judah, you can honestly be talking about the top three fastest guys when it comes to throwing hands and escaping punches and dancing around that ring of all time. And Roy Jones is in that group. When you look at this fight, now don't get it. Mike Tyson retired. Mike Tyson last action in the ring was 2005. We see how he went out in 2005. We seen the losses. We seen the downward spiral that was Mike Tyson. Roy Jones Jr. last competed in 2018. Roy Jones Jr. had 75 pro total fights. Mike had 58 total fights. So that's a nice gap in between the total fights that they had. With Roy having 75 total and Mike having 58. That right there is almost close to a 20 fight separation, a 20 fight difference, almost. And I guarantee you those extra fights that Roy Jones had, it took a toll on his body. You know, like you got to understand, you talking about somebody fighting 75 pro fights, 75 pro boxing fights. It doesn't matter if you won most of them. You still stood in the ring. You went toe to toe. You did all the conditioning, all the training that you need to get prepared for these fights. That's a lot of training. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. Mike Tyson with 58 fights, that's a lot of wear and tear on the bodies too, especially with Mike being the heavier fighter. You know, like I said, but Mike has been rested. Mike has retired. Mike retired back in 2005. And let me kind of just run you down like the scope of these guys real quick. Like I told you, Mike retired in 2005. Roy last competed in 2018. So guess what? So from 2005 to 2018, that's 13 years. That's 13 years more of competition that Roy has been competing. Will it help him in this fight? I think it will. I think it will help him, you know, being just not that far removed from the ring. But still, you've got 13 more years of fighting under your belt. So the freshness may be a problem for Roy. The freshness, especially you talk about Mike Tyson. Mike, you talk about, like, you got to understand, like, Mike Tyson is not your average person, you know, and we could just go on the record and saying if Mike Tyson was in a better mental state throughout his career, we could easily be talking about Mike Tyson as the only, besides Floyd Mayweather, the only undefeated fighter in the game. If Mike was in a better mental state, if he was in a better, if he had a better mentality, if he was more confident about himself, if he didn't have the demons that he had going on in his life, I could honestly see Mike Tyson beating the Buster Douglases, Mike Tyson beating the Evander Holyfield, even though Evander Holyfield is a great technical fighter. But I could see Mike Tyson beating him. I can honestly see Mike Tyson, if Mike Tyson was on his good days, I could honestly see him beating Lennox Lewis too, and everybody else that he lost to, if he was in a better mental state. Roy Jones, okay, let me just run down Tyson numbers right now. 5'10", 240 pounds, 54 years old, 58 pro total fights, 50 wins, 6 losses, 2 no contests, 44 knockouts. Last competed in 2005. Mike is, when he was in the game, he was the undisputed heavyweight champ. The undisputed heavyweight champ. Roy Jones Jr., 5'11". Him and Mike not that much different in height. Roy Jones Jr. is about 225, 230. Not that far difference in weight. 51 years old, not that far different in age. 75 pro total fights. You got a nice gap between the pro total fights. 66 wins, 9 losses, 47 knockouts. A 4 weight class champion. He last competed in 2018. Now, y'all don't understand. I'm sitting here and I'm reading these numbers. My blood is boiling on the inside. I really want to get animated with you guys because I can't. But I can't because I have my family. You know, my family's up in the other rooms and they're sleeping right now. Like, y'all don't understand. I'm reading these numbers. I'm reading the tell of the tapes to myself and I'm thinking, ding, ding, bells on, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones in the ring. I'm going nuts. I got my drink in my hand. I got my plate of whatever I'm about to eat, and it's about to go down. You know, I want Mike Tyson to get that vicious knockout. I want Mike to do what he do, but I want Roy to dance around that ring, and I want him to humiliate an opponent. But guess what? I don't want him to humiliate Mike Tyson like that. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, it's like, I love Mike. I like where he's at. I like his contribution to the game of pro boxing. I like his contribution to combat sports, period. Mike has been active. You know, Mike has been around, you know, throughout his career. You know, he's did some work with the WWE. He's doing work right now with the AEW. I'm glad that he's in a better place spiritual. You know, Mike had went to prison for a while. I'm glad he got his mind clear of that. He started podcasting, you know, releasing a lot of his inner demons, talking about them. I think that was great for his psyche. I know Roy Jones have been around, you know, more. Roy Jones was a real, like, both of them were real party boys, during their career. You know, Roy partied like hell, Mike partied like hell. Roy had albums dropping on record labels. I mean, Roy was the man. Like, Roy was really out there doing things, and Roy was a wild boy. Like I said, I know he was competing in 2018. He was still in the ring. Obviously, he wasn't doing too bad to finally finish his career in 2018 with a total of 75 pro fights, 66 wins and 9 losses. Like, that's still not bad to be fighting up all the way into 2018. I get it. You wasn't the big marquee name that you once was, but you were still in there handling business. You know, I would have loved to see Roy Jones Jr. versus Floyd Mayweather. Both of them in their primes. I would love to see that. You know, but we only can wishful thinking, right? So when I see the tale of the two tapes and I look at the history between these two guys and the work that they put in inside that ring, it really gets me pumped. It really gets me pumped, you know, and I look at, you know, the trailer to the fight, and I look at the videos that they're producing and all the angles and all the marketing they put in towards the fight. And Roy Jones, Mike has a humble spirit. But Roy Jones is older and he's a little bit more humbling. And I don't know if he's a little bit more humbling because, yes, he's an older fighter now. Yes, he's been retired. He's doing this again. The bag gonna look nice. The bag gonna be great for both of these guys. Both of these guys are gonna break nice with this bag. A lot of more people are going to get involved as time go by, and Roy Jones is humble. Like Roy Jones is looking at this thing like, okay, everybody's been seeing what Mike been doing lately, and Mike been looking like a beast. But we haven't seen him in a fight yet. But he's been looking like a beast when he's been training. So everybody's seeing what Tyson is doing in the video content he's producing, and they're like, Roy Jones needs to rethink this. So Roy Jones is looking at this thing as, man, I'm King David and Mike is Goliath. And I got to humbly slay this giant. I love Mike, but I got to humbly do what I got to do. Mike Tyson is humble too, but Mike Tyson is very, very hungry for the leather to meet the skin again. Mike Tyson is very hungry for fist-to-face action. He's hungry for that. With Mike, everybody has been getting the load. Everybody has been getting a lot of Mike's video content, and the podcast session he did with Sugar Ray Leonard is what's standing out in everybody's mind right now. So you got this podcasting session going on. Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's like, Sugar Ray, you're my idol. You know what I mean? Like I grew up watching you, and you were the greatest next to Ali, and I wanted to be you guys. I wanted to move around the ring like you guys. I wanted to like tame my bridal energy and just go and annihilate people. That's what I wanted to do. Like Mike, like he's really like in touch with his feelings, and he's in his zone, but he's telling like Sugar Ray Leonard, like I want to be that guy again. I don't feel like it's been so long since I've been that guy. It's been so long since I've been a roaring lion, and I feel like a bitch because I'm not that guy anymore. And I miss that guy. I miss that annihilator. I miss that destroyer. And I want him back. I miss him. Mike, like I miss him. I miss being the person that kick ass and take names. And you got Mike and you got Sugar Ray Leonard looking at him in awe, because Sugar Ray Leonard looking at him like, this is the great Mike Tyson. The great Mike Tyson has invited me on his show, and he's sitting in front of me. We're gladiators. We're champions. And the great Mike Tyson is in front of me, and he's bawling like a kid who wants his parents. Mike Tyson sweating, tears running from his eyes, saying he wants to be that guy again. He wants to be that Punisher again. He wants to be that annihilator again. He wants to be that destroyer again. He misses that guy. That guy made him feel comfortable. That guy made him feel safe. That guy made the world fear him. But he's a shell of that guy. And people look at him as an average man. People don't look at him as the great Mike Tyson. People don't look at him as the great champion. When they do look at him, that's the guy that at the tail of his career, it was just a horrible downward spiral. And he feels horribly about that. He feels like he's cheated his career. He's feeling like he's cheated his potential. That's what Mike is feeling. And he wants that animal back. And people are looking at this, content like, Mike really means it. You can look at Mike's eyes and you see the face of literally a stone cold killer. When I saw that interview it remind me of myself. You know how it feels as a man, and I'm pretty sure every fighter goes through this. Like, I'm not a professional fighter, but I fought a lot in the streets. And growing up, we fight to survive. But I stand here today at 37 years old. I'm a dad. I'm not in the shape I used to be. I used to be in the shape to where I used to go around places, go around clubs and different atmospheres and kickbacks. And, I would feel like I'm Superman. I felt like I was in shape. I could move. I could throw hands. I was strong. Nobody could touch me. I wasn't arrogant about it, but I was confident in myself that I could whoop anybody's ass. That's how I felt. And sitting here at 37 years old, it's disturbing being a 37-year-old, just a working guy, just a father, just a husband, uh, a shell of who you used to be. That guy that, to me, it's not even the fear that people had. It was just being that guy, and I'm not that guy, no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy, and me myself, I can tell you every day, like, I'm not a depressed guy. I'm not none of that. I'm happy with life to an extent. But I feel exactly what Mike Tyson was talking about. I feel the sweat that I felt the sweat that he was sweating. I felt the tears that he was bawling out of his eyes. I felt the stuttering when he was trying to talk. I felt the cracking in the voice when he was trying to pronunciate what he was trying to say. I felt it. I felt the anger that couldn't get out because I'm not that guy no more. And just like Tyson, it bothers me. It bothers me. I feel Tyson 100%. Now you have to understand, man, Roy Jones is not any average fighter. I don't care if Roy Jones is 51. Roy Jones has done enough training. He's been in war enough that Roy Jones is still a bad man. You understand? He's still a bad man. And he's a smart man. He knows that ring. He knows how to work it. Like, you have to understand, he wasn't a run-of-the-mill fighter. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a guy that, like, he was a marquee guy. Roy Jones was a marquee primetime guy. This is not an average fighter. This is what Tyson have to understand. Roy Jones is not the average fighter. Just like Roy has to understand Tyson is not the average fighter. But what I feel about this fight is Tyson wants to be that guy again. That destroyer, that conqueror, that annihilator. If he doesn't have that energy and that anger and that beastly instinct about him channeled 100% correct for this fight, Roy Jones can take advantage of that and will take advantage of that and will put Tyson on his ass. Tyson comes in with that looking for the knockout. You got to understand, man, this is not no average. Roy Jones is not no average dude. And Roy Jones got power too. He ain't got Tyson power, but he got power. He could put Tyson to sleep. You understand? So coming in and everybody's like, oh man, oh man, Roy Jones need to rethink this. Y'all need to go back and watch Roy Jones' career. Roy Jones is an animal. You understand? And I think Roy Jones know right now, even in this eight round exhibition, that he might have to tap into a killer instinct that he probably never ever tapped into his whole career. He might have to be a dog come fight night. He might have to be an animal come fight night going against Mike Tyson. You got to understand, man, Mike Tyson is a person that you can hit and hit and hit. And if you ain't really knocking him out unconscious, he gonna keep coming. Unless the referee calls it quits. Mike is a tank. Mike is literally a tank that I honestly feels like you really have to connect with the right knockout to get Mike out of there. Cause sitting there just trying to tag him and stuff like that. Like when Mike lost his fights back then, I think it was more of him being mentally battered than him being physically beaten. When you lose the fight or when you already gave the fight up in your mind, your body just gonna follow your mind. So when Mike took those losses back then, I think it was more of mental losses than it was physical losses. It was more mental than it was physical. Now I got to go back and rewatch the fights and stuff like that. And I understand he been put on his back and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is it was more mental than it was physical. And Roy is one of the smartest fighters ever. So this is going to be a great contest. I know with what's going on in the world right now, COVID, like I said, the pandemic is running wild. Social distancing running wild. A lot of quarantining has been happening. Sorry about that, guys. A lot of quarantining has been happening. But this is a fight that I think people will enjoy. People do want to see. And I think really people want to see two guys go in there and throw, punch for punch, go punch for punch with each other. That's what they want to see. They want to see they want to see these guys leave as if they were playing in a Rocky movie. They want to see them leave battered and bruised. This is what they want. This is what the people want. Like, the people want to see Mike try to knock Roy Jones' head off his shoulders. And the people want to see, the same people still want to see Roy Jones come in and throw those, 6, 7, 8 nice combos and tap Mike up. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to see this. I'll take it now, since we didn't get it a long time ago. I'll take the fight now. I kind of wish it was something that they both came out in a different direction, had some success first that build up to this fight. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens is, it's like the loser of this, you might as well really call it quits and say it's done. If Tyson loses this against Roy Jones, all the images and imagination that people had in their head about, man, I think Tyson can honestly, seriously get one more run. I think Tyson can really go up in there and go against Tyson Fury or go against Deontay Wilder or something like that and get one more run at the title. If Tyson loses this, it's not happening. If Tyson loses to Roy Jones Jr., nobody will be interested in Tyson fight no more. If Roy Jones loses to Tyson, everybody's going to be like, we expected it. So Tyson has more to lose than Roy Jones, because everybody's mind right now is Roy Jones. Tyson's going to hurt that kid. But if Tyson loses, nobody's going to be interested in Tyson no more. They're going to tell him all this warrior talk and all this art of fighting. Hang it up, man. It's not you no more. You're done. Go be a father to your kids. Go do your podcast and go do whatever. Go play professional wrestling and go on about your business. Leave the world of combat fighting alone. I just hope that I feel like Roy Jones is looking at it as this is a great money venture. This is something great. This is possibly one of the last great bags he gonna get from this sport. So I think he's taking it on the strength of the bag. Tyson, I just don't hope he want to come back and fight for the wrong reasons. You know, I just don't hope. I hope he's coming back to fight purely for the love of fighting. I like being in the ring. I like throwing punches. I like ducking and dodging. I like doing my footwork. I like getting in there and I like going toe to toe with other gladiators. I'm doing it because of that. Okay, if that's what you're doing it for, Tyson, I'm good. But if you're doing it for another motive, like, I don't think it's going to end good because you got to understand you're dealing with Roy Jones. You're not dealing with a punk. You're not dealing with a lame in the sport. You're not dealing with no 2-bit over the weekend boxer. You're dealing with Roy Jones Jr. This guy was running the sport for a number of years. Roy Jones a bad man. Tyson a bad man. I'm definitely interested in seeing this. I hope you guys are too. I just wanted to kind of give y'all the tell of the tape on the two fighters. And a lot of people are really just getting in tune with the whole Tyson interviews. The Tyson, the media that's been going around, the content that's been going around the Tyson, and really that interview with Sugar Ray Leonard has really stuck in everybody's mind because you see a vulnerable Tyson about everything. That he just feel like he's not that guy. He's inadequate. He doesn't have the strength. He doesn't have the speed. He don't feel like he's that warrior anymore. He needs to find that warrior. He needs that. He feel like I need this warrior back. That right there is commendable, but that right there can be costly. Your life comes in seasons sometimes. And what Tyson has to understand, maybe that the warrior season is maybe just done, man. It's done. I would have loved to see him come back and be a successful boxing trainer because you can make hell of fine money being a boxing trainer. And why not go into a boxing Hall of Fame as a boxer and a trainer? Like, I want to see Mike as a bona fide trainer. I would love to see him training guys. Being in the ring, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I wish the best to both fighters. I wish the best to both fighters, guys. And we'll see. Come fight night, man. This is going to be very interesting. This is going to be very, very interesting. And I do expect it to do numbers. I do expect it to do astronomical numbers. Even if it's during COVID time and we don't have a full arena of people or whatever. I think it's gonna be great because when those guys fight and it's not a full arena of guys, you're gonna hear the greatness of boxing. You're gonna hear the bags popping. You're gonna hear the blows. You're gonna hear everything. Like you're going to actually hear the essence of boxing without all the crowd noise. If these guys are fighting in the open arena due to the pandemic, no stadium, no noise, no nothing. You're going to actually get in there and feel and see and hear the essence of boxing without crowd noise or distortion. So this is going to be good. This is going to be groundbreaking. Best of luck to both fighters. Until then, I'm Asai Boss and I'm out.